Tonight on Ukraine Unveiled, we uncover a story shrouded in secrecy. A high-ranking Ukrainian official accused of treason sits in a prison cell without formal charges. Was he a Russian spy who enabled the invasion, or a patriot betrayed by his own government? Oleg Kulinich, once a trusted figure in Ukraine's security service, is now labeled a traitor. But the evidence is murky, the stakes are high, the truth is elusive. Join us as we unravel a tale of espionage, corruption, and international intrigue. Oleg Kulinich, once a rising star in Ukraine's secret service, the SBU, appointed by President Zelenskyy in 2020 to head the Crimea operations. He was tasked with countering Russian influence in one of the most volatile regions of the world. But in July of 2022, Kulinich was arrested, accused of being a Russian FSB agent who aided in the invasion of Ukraine. Tonight, we ask, is Kulinich a traitor, or is he a scapegoat?
Kulinich's story begins decades earlier. Born in 1969, he came of age during the Cold War, witnessing the fall of the Iron Curtain and the collapse of the Soviet Union. Trained in Ukraine's security apparatus, he rose to prominence by 2019, earning Zelenskyy's trust. His role in Crimea was critical, thwarting Russian espionage in a region Moscow illegally annexed in 2014. But Ukraine's State Bureau of Investigation, or SBI, paints a darker picture. They allege Kulinich, codename Kotihoroshko, was a Russian mole working for Vladimir Siskovich, a former Ukrainian official who fled to Moscow in 2014. The SBI claims Kulinich fed sensitive intelligence to Russia, including details of Ukraine's defenses, and knew of Russia's invasion plans but failed to act.
These are explosive allegations, but the evidence is thin. The SBI claims that it intercepted calls between Kulinich and Siskovich. Documents were allegedly found on an FSB computer in Moscow. Kulinich denies these charges. In a rare prison interview, he called these accusations fabricated.
Oleg Kulinich, the infamous flash drive obtained by Maluk as a result of his heroic and unique infiltration into the ranks of the FSB of the Russian Federation, contains information that, as it turned out, pertains to large-scale corruption within the highest leadership, including Zelenskyy, Yermak, Shmyhal, Markarova, and a number of tax officials involved in the withdrawal and embezzlement of 27.5 billion hryvnias, or $1 billion, in the second half of 2019 alone.
So, who is Oleg Kulinich? A traitor who betrayed his nation? Or a loyal officer caught in a web of corruption and geopolitics? To understand, we need to go back, way back.
Oleg Kulinich is a doctor in economics. He came of age in a turbulent era. The Soviet Union's collapse reshaped Ukraine, a nation caught between East and West. During Ukraine's rocky transition to independence, Kulinich was part of the senior management of the Ministry of Fuel and Energy of Ukraine for the company Energoatom and Ukratom. Kulinich then headed the Ministry of Natural Resources. There, he led groups of advisors in the Ukrainian government. By the 2000s, Kulinich was collaborating with U.S. intelligence on anti-corruption and security initiatives. His profile suggested a pro-Western, pro-democracy stance, far from the image of a Russian operative.
Kulinich's academic work offers clues to his mindset. His dissertation focused on combating international financial crime, money laundering, corruption, and a flow of dark money into elite hands. It's a theme that would define his career.
Kulinich's career intersected with Ukraine's fight against corruption. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Justice, under Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, launched initiatives to combat global financial crime.
Importance. So now it's my privilege to welcome my good friend Sally Yates to this conversation. Welcome to Between Two Ferns.
Or between two palms, maybe, instead of ferns.
Individuals in corporate cases has been an emphasis at the Department of Justice. Indeed, there are many, many speeches by the leadership of the department, including Eric Holder, including the leadership at the criminal division, beginning with Lanny Brewer, Leslie Caldwell, Marshall Miller. Each have made speeches about the importance of individual liability in corporate cases. So that being said, what was the process that led you to the decision, or y'all, to do a decision, or to make the decision to do a formal memo and revise the USAM?
Well, Anne, you're absolutely right that the concept of doing everything we can to hold culpable individuals accountable is not anything new at the department. That's been something that department leadership, both in the form of former leadership, Eric Holder and Lanny Brewer and Mike Lee Rahman, and current leadership now, Leslie Caldwell, even well before we ever did this memo. This was certainly something that all the leadership of the department has been committed to.
In PA cases, there are some potentially added complications. For example, situations where a U.S. company has exposure, but all of the individuals who engaged in the misconduct are potentially unprosecutable, either because they reside in no countries with extradition treaties or extradition is difficult. So in practice, if a corporation provides information about those individuals, can it expect to receive as much cooperation credit as a corporation that provides all the relevant information about easily identifiable individuals in the United States?
Sure. Again, you don't have to give us a prosecutable case. We're not looking for corporate heads here. We want the facts. And so it doesn't matter if the person is within our reach to be able to prosecute them or to bring a civil case against them, or whether they're, outside the bounds of our extradition treaty.
Kulinich's ideas align closely with those efforts, advocating for multinational teams to track illicit financial flows. In 2016, Kulinich joined an anti-corruption task force alongside U.S. officials Marcus Cohen and Michael Gordon, and Ukrainian Vladimir Siskovich. Their mission: dismantle corruption networks in Ukraine, including those tied to oligarchs like Andriy Portnov, later sanctioned by the U.S. for corrupting Ukraine's judiciary.
Why did the U.S. put sanctions on Andriy Portnov? May 21, 2025. In recent news, the United States has placed sanctions on Andriy Portnov, a significant figure in Ukraine's political landscape. This decision has sparked conversations about corruption and judicial integrity. Many viewers may be searching for answers about why these sanctions were imposed and what they mean for Ukraine. The United States imposed these sanctions primarily due to Portnov's involvement in corrupt practices within Ukraine's judicial system. He is known as a court fixer, using bribery and influence to manipulate the judiciary. His actions have severely undermined efforts to reform Ukraine's legal framework.
Kulinich's work bore fruit. In 2019, his team helped uncover evidence leading to a $6 million bribery attempt to shut down the investigation into Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company linked to Hunter Biden. But success came at a cost. When Donald Trump took office in 2017, he vowed to roll back regulations, including anti-corruption measures that burden corporations.
Jeff Sessions. Where's Jeff?
Yet, his administration also prioritized auditing foreign aid, which allowed Kulinich's investigations to continue under the new DOJ mandate.
Kulinich's team grew closer to the Trump administration, particularly through Siskevich, who joined a Ukrainian envoy to promote then-candidate Vladimir Zelenskyy in 2019. Zelensky's anti-corruption platform aligned with Kulinich's mission, and he helped secure Zelensky's safety during a contentious election. Zelensky's victory in May 2019 was a triumph for populism. But Zelensky's new position as president opened a welcoming door for the return of figures like oligarch Igor Kolomoisky and Andriy Portnov, signaling trouble. Meanwhile, Kulinich's investigations into Portnov's corrupt judicial networks intensified, but so did the risks. The Trump-Zelenskyy phone call, which led to Trump's impeachment, exposed tensions over U.S. aid to Ukraine. Kulinich's investigations into U.S. aid embezzlement and dark money flows was vast and potentially implicated both Ukrainian officials and U.S. figures. What Kulinich was discovering made him a target.
By 2020, the political landscape shifted again. Joe Biden's election as U.S. president coincided with Zelenskyy's abrupt decision to halt all anti-corruption investigations in Ukraine. Kulinich, now head of the SBU's Crimea Directorate, found his work under scrutiny. In February of 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. Days before, Kulinich, still heading the SBU Crimea operations, was ordered to relocate his team from Kherson to Kiev. His lawyer, Andriy, insists Kulinich was far from the invasion's epicenter.
In July 2022, Zelenskyy fired his entire administrative cabinet, except for close ally Andriy Yermak. Kulinich was arrested that same month. He was detained initially for illegal weapons possession, then accused of treason. The SBI claimed he orchestrated a pro-Russian network within Ukraine's security services. This network weakened the Ukrainian security apparatus, which allowed for the Russians taking Ukrainian territory in February 2022 and the Ukraine-Russia war we see today. But was Kulinich really involved?
The evidence? Snippets of the 2019 and 2020 audio recordings between Kulinich and Siskevich allegedly found on an FSB USB drive. But these predate Kulinich's Crimea role and related to the U.S.-backed anti-corruption work. The USB also reportedly contained evidence implicating public officials, possibly including Americans.
Kulinich has been detained for about 3 years without formal charges, a violation of Ukrainian and international law. His lawyer alleges human rights abuses, including restricted access to counsel and the denial of a public trial.
The timing raises questions. In May of 2022, the U.S. passed the Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act, allocating funds to investigate Russian war crimes. Could these funds have supported Kulinich's arrest?
Kulinich claims his work uncovered dark money trails, including U.S. aid diverted to illegal arms sales and anti-American operations. He alleges involvement by figures like Andriy Portnov, whose corrupt judicial networks evaded justice until his murder.
Portnov's death, some say, marked a shift in Ukraine's power dynamics. But for Kulinich, it's too late. He remains behind bars, his case stalled by repeated prosecution delays.
Kulinich's supporters, including Ukrainian military figures, argue he's a U.S. asset whose imprisonment violates international human rights laws. They claim his knowledge of global financial crime could dismantle racketeering networks, including those tied to prominent families and U.S. public figures.
That these meetings took place abroad in Vienna, Frankfurt, and other locations. but not in Moscow. Unlike Tatarov, the deputy head of the office of the President of Ukraine, I never flew to Moscow. These meetings were with representatives of law enforcement in the United States, including the Department of Justice, prosecutors, and operational officers. What caused this? It was due to the fact that during the first term of President Trump's administration, there were investigations initiated by him into criminal cases regarding the embezzlement of macrofinancial assistance sent from the United States to Ukraine.
Oleg Kulinich's fate hangs in the balance. Is he a traitor who enabled Russia's invasion, or a whistleblower silenced by knowing too much? As Ukraine fights for its future, one man's story raises questions about truth, loyalty, and the cost of uncovering corruption. Next time on Ukraine Unveiled, we investigate the shadowy figures behind Kulinich's fall. This is James Bradley. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe to keep our voice and message alive.